on Saturday at 8:30 a.m. at 1509 32nd Street, Everett. There's going to be a Defend Planned Parenthood action.
You can't zoom in at all, can you?
If you want information about the event and to help with rights, then contact the table that's right here. And now, Manya will introduce our next speakers.
I'm really excited to introduce our next two speakers from the Seattle Women's Commission. Morgan Beach is a nonprofit worker and gender equity activist. She is currently the co-chair of the Seattle Women's Commission, a member of the Board for Equal Rights Washington, fighting for LGBTQ rights, a volunteer for Planned Parenthood, and holds a Master of Public Policy degree. Ruchika Tulsian is an author, journalist, and speaker on gender equity. Ruchika serves as adjunct faculty at the University of Washington and as commissioner on the Seattle Women's Commission. Please help me warmly welcome Morgan and Ruchika.
Hi, everybody. Hey. Oh, that was nice. We've learned some things in our time, haven't we?
Yeah.
Whether our time as activists has been short, just a few hours, or if you came here just tonight to see Pussy Riot, it's fine. Or if it's been a lifetime or generations, welcome to the movement. If there's one thing I've learned, and I know many of you are with me, it's that we don't often win. It's rare and it's dear to achieve victory. The struggle for progress, and specifically the full and unmitigated equality of women in our society, is hard. It's fraught with losses and setbacks and compromise and compounding intersections of inequality that make every step forward a fight. But there's another thing I've learned. That's if you never show up, if you back down in the face of oppression, if you don't resist the forces that want women or people of color or queer people to stay silent and abandon their rights, they will never happen. Right now, I have the immense privilege of serving as the co-chair of the Seattle Women's Commission. We're charged with advising the mayor and city council on policies and actions that promote the well-being of women in our city. Our current endeavor is to pass universal paid family leave legislation for all workers in the city of Seattle. Paid family leave may sound like a luxury right now, when it feels like our most basic rights and freedoms are being ripped from us day by day. But let me say this. Paid family leave is the single most effective policy for closing the economic gap for women in modern history. It is a policy we should all have access to because it is a basic right to be able to care for your family without the threat of economic ruin. We will demonstrate that while the country may not be with us, even the state may not be with us, in Seattle we know what is right. We are with the world when it comes to paid family leave. We know what progress looks like. We know how to build towards equality. Sometimes the battlefields will be in Congress and the White House, sometimes they will be at City Hall, and sometimes they will be in the streets like they are tonight. We will not be ignored. And as many women and people of all genders have fought in times past, we pick up the torches where they left off and we continue on. Today I strike for paid leave for all families.
Friends, thank you so much for braving the cold to be here with us. I stand here in front of you wearing many layers. Some are visible and some are invisible. I'm an immigrant, a brown woman in a country where people who look like me are getting shot just for existing. I'm a mother and a working woman. And even when our society makes it so incredibly hard to be both, I and so many of the incredible people here today are fighting tirelessly to make it so that we don't have to be forced to choose between family and work. I'm the first woman in my family to do paid work. And perhaps that's what guides me every day, because I recognize the incredible privilege of choice where so many women before me could not choose. But I am not convinced by the illusion of choice that I see for working parents today in America. I don't believe in a system that tells women we can do everything and have it all as long as we are unequal in a patriarchal system. I cannot uphold a system where women are paid less for doing equal work to white men, and depending on the color of your skin, to be paid as low as 64 cents to the white man's dollar. And I have no respect for an America where women work hard in their jobs, then come home and begin thankless, unpaid labor all over again, day in and day out. As a commissioner on the Seattle Women's Commission, I'm honored to be part of the movement for universal paid family leave for all workers in this city. Because it is shameful that 1 in 4 American women go back to work within 2 weeks of giving birth. Let's make 2017 the last year we let that happen to the women of Seattle. Let's not punish working mothers anymore. So today, if there's one thing I wish for us on International Women's Day, it's to be relentless in our fight for working families. Whether you have children or not, let us all realize that we are unequal when working moms are punished. Our struggles may be different, but until all of us get a choice to speak, not even one of our voices is truly heard. Let us be bold and, let me repeat, relentless in our push for change. Let's make paid family leave a reality in Seattle. Thank you.
Do you all feel our power? Yeah! Say it with me. Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Woo! So, unfortunately, it is not enough to just strike and rally on today. This protest is a stepping stone to build broader and stronger actions that will have the power to defeat Trump and his corporate billionaire class. And to build this strongest possible movement, we need to get organized. Yeah. So with that in mind, I'd like to invite you all to 2 upcoming events. The first one, on April 2nd, socialist students, alongside the Democratic Socialists of America and their youth group, the Young Democratic Socialists, are hosting the Seattle Socialism Conference. There should be flyers out there. Find one if you're interested. We'll discuss the strategies of the resistance and socialism under Trump. Next, we're going all out on May 1st to organize the largest mass actions yet to fight against Trump's attacks on immigrants, workers, and people of color. Here to speak more about immigrant rights and May Day is Leticia Parks, a working parent, a woman of color, and a Mexican activist. She is an organizer with Morena Seattle, the biggest left party in Mexico, and a member of Socialist Alternative. Please help me in welcoming Leticia.
Thank you. ¿Dónde están las mujeres latinas? ¡Que se oigan las mujeres latinas! Thank you. Hello, everyone. As a mother, a woman of color, a working parent, and Mexican activist, I am deeply concerned and shaken to see how ICE and the government are terrorizing our community.
In the most deceptive ways, our brothers and sisters are being taken away by ICE agents, handcuffed and humiliated in their workplaces, at school pickups in front of their children, family members removed at once from the warmth and safety of their own home. Members of our community are being held in detention centers across the country for months and sometimes years before facing an imminent deportation. The GEO Group, a for-profit company, operates the Northwest Detention Center, just 30 miles south of here. It holds up to 1,600 beds, and make no mistake about it, this is a prison. Our community members are incarcerated and treated in the worst conditions, forced to sleep with other 50 strangers in the same room. Family members held in detention centers are forced to work for $1 per day. You can only touch your family through a glass window, and a private phone call can cost you a week's labor. There is no medical emergency unit or trained staff to provide basic medical attention. Abdominal pain or cancer gets treated the same with one Tylenol or ibuprofen. Since 2003, 165 people have died in U.S. detention centers. In 2012, the GEO's group revenue exceeded $1.4 billion. 86% of the revenue came from taxpayer money. Its CEO is known to earn $20 million just in bonuses. We, as taxpayers, spend $2 billion per year to sustain these dungeons. Are we going to allow our taxpayer and hard-earned money to be spent on modern slavery facilities that target our own communities? GEO's stocks just jumped by 50% in the last month, from $23 a share before the elections to $50 a share right after the last executive order. Now you want to take a guess and find out who owns 1.24 million shares? I will give you a hint. It is a bank known for profiting from human injustice. Yes, Wells Fargo. The GEO Group receives $163 for each person detained per day. They have to maintain a quota to fill thousands of beds. With the increased funding to Homeland Security, more detentions will surface. The indiscriminate persecution of vulnerable communities is a business strategy. Unknowingly, our tax earnings are turning into blood money. ICE proudly displays in their Instagram account pictures of international felons as their prime target, but we know we all carry the bullseye in our backs right now. People currently detained include minors, mothers, grandparents, workers from many professions, students like Daniel Ramirez Medina, a Seattle resident who, despite carrying Dreamer documentation, he was still taken by ICE and as of this morning not released yet. As Councilmember Kshama Sawant stated, having a press release claiming this is a sanctuary city is not enough to provide immediate protection for these families. Our communities should not be called illegals. These are individuals from the working class who are being jailed without justice. Now that, my friends, is illegal. We do them a disservice if we don't recognize they are us and we are them. With the Trump era, the working class is under major threat. Our LGBTQ community, Black people, Muslims, Mexican communities, women, working parents, students, we are all being stripped of our rights, layer by layer. What takes decades to fight for can be easily be removed in one day by the 1% if we don't fight for it with all we got. The solution to dangerous Trumpism is not progressive neoliberalism. Both parties have played an active role in criminalizing our communities. The solution is the unity, organization, and solidarity of anti-corporate movements and people's struggles with one common goal: to place humanity first above greed. This May 1st, we working people will halt this nation and show the 1% we are the backbone of this country. Make May 1st a family event so you can teach your children that silence and indifference are two words they will never see in a workers' revolution. Now let me hear you on this side. Not one more, and on this other side, deportations. Not one more.
Deportations!
Not one more.
Deportations!
Not one more.
Deportations!
Don't forget, we are the people's revolution. Thank you so much.
Give it up again for the TCN! It's a reality that the resistance and putting on events like these requires funding, and we need to pull together to be able to fund and hold important mass actions like this amazing event that we're having. So unlike Trump and his billionaire cabinet, our power comes from our numbers and our unity. That's why we're asking you to dig deep and give what you can so that we can deepen and escalate the resistance and pay to hold events like these. So there are folks who are walking through the crowd with orange buckets. They also have square readers so they can take your cards. Not take them. Some people are in a position to give $5 or a few bucks. That's amazing. Some people might be in a position to give $200, and that's amazing as well. But if there's any lesson from the history of International Women's Day, it's that protests and mass movements can change society. And that's what your contributions are going towards. Thank you.
Thank you, Manya. Manya's financial appeal illustrates the importance of working people's, women's movements having to be truly independent of corporate influence. That is why our campaigns and our movements are run on the financial, political, and emotional fuel of the working class. How's everyone doing? It's cold and it's wet, but is there a fire in your belly? Well then, please help me in welcoming Tiffany Hankins, who currently serves as the Executive Director of NARAL Pro-Choice Washington. After more than 7 years of working on the front lines as a community organizer, she was instrumental in establishing a new scoring system for NARAL Pro-Choice Washington that ranks state lawmakers on their boldness and commitment to championing reproductive freedom. Tiffany.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm just going to take this out. Or, no, I'm not. So anyway, I'm so happy to be here. I actually rushed back up to Seattle from Olympia, Washington, where I was today, not rubbing elbows with the power brokers, but actually rallying with hundreds of NARAL members from around the state and bringing the people's power to Olympia. Since it's International Women's Day, we thought it was appropriate to take our message to Olympia and demand that they be bold and be active and be relentless in their fight. What I learned today, much like what I'm learning right now standing in front of this crowd, is that the real leaders are right here. The real leaders who are showing what the resistance looks like and what we need to do to be champions are the ones who are taking to the streets and the ones who are shouting out loud outside of the rotunda in the Capitol and making sure that their stories and their voices are heard. We came to inspire them and to make our demands. Our demands are simple. You don't compromise with people's rights. Do our rights belong on their bargaining table? No! Whether it's guaranteeing that women can stay in the workforce during their pregnancy, safeguarding and expanding access to birth control, there is plenty of work for us to do right here in Washington State, and we need to lead the nation. This is our message both to DC, our message to Olympia, and even our message to Seattle City Council and King County Council. Now is the time to be bold. Now is the time that we need our champions who will put reproductive freedom front and center. Our resistance is bold, and our resistance is taking action like never before. It is not just women's rights. It is a movement coming together right now, fighting for immigrant rights, fighting for economic justice and for labor rights, and fighting for women's rights. These are not separate fights, these are all one fight. And so whether you are a member of NARAL Pro-Choice Washington or you just want to be, I invite you to join us May 1st and make this the biggest May Day rally that we've ever seen. Thank you for all that you have been doing, and thank you for everything that you will be doing. The resistance is working. The only thing that is going to stop a Supreme Court nominee who will overturn Roe versus Wade is the people right here. Keep being loud, keep sharing your stories, and keep raising your voices, and thank you so much for all of you do.
Thank you, Tiffany. I'd like to make an announcement on behalf of our Standing Rock movement in Seattle. We're having a We Rise for Standing Rock Seattle event on Friday, March 10th at the Federal Building and Westlake from 4 to 6 p.m. So please join us there. My fellow activists, today has been one of the largest ever celebrations of International Women's Day. In more than 50 countries around the world, women are marching, rallying, and going on strike. Many globally are protesting against Donald Trump because the misogynist in chief and his wild right-wing agenda are not just a threat to women in the United States, but to millions of working women everywhere. While the protests today are much smaller than the tremendous women's marches just 6 weeks ago, the biggest single day of protest in US history, today is also historic. Because today's women's strike has brought forward the question of power. Of our power as working women. Schools closed down in a number of cities today and around the country. Thousands of women courageously took the day off, called in sick, or left work early. We as women have begun a crucial discussion about what is really needed to defeat Donald Trump. And what is needed is the enormous potential power of strike action to hit Trump and his billionaire backers exactly where it hurts by shutting down their profits. But to do so, we will need to get better organized. And we will need to build on a far larger scale than we have. Sisters and brothers, as Sarah said, Women's Day was originally called International Working Women's Day. It began in this country, in the United States, over a century ago. And it wasn't about flowers or chocolate. It was about working women standing up against their exploitation in the workplaces. For the right to vote and full civil rights against sexual harassment, and for the right to make choices about their own bodies. And for the right to equal pay for equal work. And it was about capitalism. Because it is not only Donald Trump who is sexist and misogynist and racist, the capitalist system itself is deeply oppressive at its core. It has sexism, sexual violence, and racism written on its DNA. Capitalism relies on the brutal exploitation of women and other groups to divide and weaken the working class. 100 years ago, the Russian Revolution began on International Working Women's Day. In Petrograd, thousands of women went on strike, led marches, went into the factories to call on other workers to down their tools. And they began the process that led to the overthrow of capitalism for the first time in the world. And to the creation of the first worker state, a government of, for, and by working people. The Russian Revolution was the most progressive event in human history. It spurred a transformative change in society, the likes of which have not been seen before or since. Women won free and legal abortion, the right to vote, and equal pay for equal work. For the first time, divorce became legal and highly accessible. And community services such as laundries and cafeterias were set up to free women from domestic drudgery and patriarchy. Many of the gains of the revolution were lost under Stalin's counter-revolution and the rise of the bureaucracy. But that does not change the historic importance of what was won by women, all working people, and socialists in Russia a century ago. Gains that have still not been won even in the so-called progressive countries under capitalism today. But these victories were no accident. They show the link between capitalism and women's oppression and the need for women and all oppressed people to come together, to use our social power as a class to shut down the system and build a different kind of society. Today we are watching the birth of a new women's movement. Millions of us see Donald Trump as completely intolerable. We have entered into a new period of radicalization of young women and working women who increasingly recognize that powerful collective action, civil disobedience, and mass strike action are what will be needed to stop Trump and the billionaire class. As our other wonderful speakers have mentioned, this week the Republicans announced the replacement for the Affordable Care Act, and at the same time, my thoughts exactly. And at the same time, they've announced a tax on Planned Parenthood. But my question is, why should the people of Washington state be held hostage to Trump and his billionaire cabinet? Why doesn't the state legislature and why doesn't the governor tax the rich and fund a single-payer healthcare system? A single-payer healthcare system by taxing the rich in Washington state. Such a system would give guaranteed affordable access to healthcare to all women, to the trans community, to everyone. California is already started to talk about this. Imagine if Washington, Oregon, and California all tax the rich and set up single payer so that we would have a West Coast wide single payer healthcare. But you know what? I am not holding my breath that the Democratic Party will show any leadership on this. We will need to build a powerful independent movement on the streets and in the workplaces to make this happen ourselves. It is good that some elected Democrats are fighting against Trump, but it is not sufficient. We need an opposition that is 100% against Trump and against the billionaire class, and not an opposition that is also, meanwhile, looking to find some common ground with Trump. We cannot wait for establishment politicians to stop Trump. We must take him down ourselves. The women's marches in January and today's incredible events are a huge step to go forward in our movement. They are vital in beginning to build an ongoing radical resistance. And we need to go further. In order order to fully tap into the power of working women and of the broader working class, we need to organize for broad strike action. As Leticia and Nicole said, May 1st or May Day is International Workers' Day. A day of historic labor struggles, but also a day of historic immigrant rights struggles. We need to stand in solidarity with immigrants and refugees on May Day. We have the potential to strike a major blow against Trump, but it will take organizing, it will take planning. The discussion within the labor movement is already underway. Several local unions have passed resolutions supporting strike action on May Day, including the Seattle Education Association and the Washington Federation of State Employees. The discussion is also beginning at the Grad Students Union, UAW at UW, which is UAW Local 4121. I wanted to quote a member of the Grad Students Union at UW. Her name is Arshia. She is a PhD student there who studies renewable fuels. She is also a proud and active member of her union. As an international student from Iran, Arshia has long dealt with our country's unjust immigration system. Even before Trump's executive orders, travel was so difficult that she couldn't leave her country to attend her own father's funeral when he died. Now, in response to Trump's executive orders, Arshia is courageously speaking out along with other leaders in her union. Will you stand with Arshia? Arshia has a message for you. She says, now more than ever, it's critical that we all join together, join unions, make demands, and organize for justice. She says, I don't just want to do it for me. I want to do it for a stronger university, a stronger community, a better world. We need to build on this. All of us who are in unions should actively make the case for strike action on May Day. And we need to be flexible about what that would mean for different workers. But whether we mean collectively leaving work early, lunchtime political actions, or a powerful strike action and shutdown, regardless of which of those we mean, we need to push as far as we can. There are many workers not in unions who will not be able to go formally on strike, but there are many other ways to take action. We can call in sick, as many of us did today, take the day off, but we can collectively organize also in our workplace to leave work early or put pressure on our businesses or on our school campuses to shut down for the day. Students can organize walkouts, lunchtime teach-ins, or occupy administration buildings. Is that enough ideas? Well, I have one more. Here in Seattle, Mayor Ed Murray should declare a public sector shutdown on May Day. By allowing the employees of the city of Seattle to take a paid day off. that they can march with their immigrant sisters and brothers on a day of conscience in solidarity with immigrants, Muslims, refugees, women, and everybody under attack by Trump. Outside of workplaces, we can also organize for mass civil disobedience, shutting down airports, highways, ICE offices, light rail, and other key infrastructure. The threat of Trump shows clearly that the need is not only for strike action, but for maximum unity in action. We need to come together in solidarity with one another to build a powerful, united movement of resistance. And to do that, we will not only be having to play defense, we need to also fight for real gains that can make a difference in the lives of ordinary people like you and me, and inspire thousands more to join our struggle. We do not only demand an end to attacks on reproductive care, we demand free and accessible abortion for all, free child care, and paid family leave. We demand not only that we preserve the gains of the Affordable Care Act, but we demand Medicare for all. We not only defend against right-to-work legislation, but we demand a federal $15 minimum wage and millions of new good-paying union jobs through mass green infrastructure and clean energy projects. We need to not only drive out Trump's worst attacks, we need to keep fighting until we drive him out of office. But let's be clear, this is not only about an end to Trumpism or to corporate politics, which it is, but we also have to demand fundamental change, and for that we will need a powerful movement independent of corporate politicians. We will need our own political parties. We need a new socialist party as a step towards a new mass workers' party. Because like the women in Russia a century ago, we are not just fighting for a less brutal system, we are fighting for socialism. Solidarity to you all, but before you go, my sister Manya insisted we can't leave without chanting.
All right, say it with me. Get up, get down. There's a women's movement in this town.
Get up, get down. There's a women's movement in this town. Get up, get down. There's a women's movement in this town. Get up, get down. There's a women's movement in this town.
The people united will never be defeated.
The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. The people